Hey, it's Cody from Tarot Readings from a Bitch. Today I'm here to do a VR to Marlena Teresa for the Tarot to the Extreme tag. Um, I watched her video and I've seen quite a few other people have also done this. Um, but I watched a couple and then I thought to myself, this looks like fun, so that's why I'm here on YouTube. So I stopped watching them because I didn't want to be like influenced by anybody else's stuff that they're picking. So yeah, I've only watched a couple. So once I make mine, that means that I'm free to watch everybody else's. Um, so the tag is taking two kind of opposite types of decks, not really pitting them against each other, just I guess kind of showing from your collection of decks. Um, so I know that there's been some kind of weird discourse over calling the decks that one has collection or a library. I'm just gonna call mine a hoard because I'm just a dragon hoarding them. I don't know if I'd really consider myself a collector, but I don't use necessarily all of the decks that I have, but just because I don't use them doesn't mean I'm getting rid of them. So I don't know if that makes me. It just makes me a hoarder, I guess, like a dragon hoarder. All right, so getting into the tags. The first one is minimalist versus maximalist. So for minimalist, for me, I had quite a few decks. I feel like that could have gone well for this tag, but I went with the Wanderer's Tarot. This, I think this was indie at one point. This is the mass market version of it, and it just the artwork is very minimalist. Sorry, they're glossy. It's like sort of almost pips. Like, I feel like I guess there's a lot going on in this card, but as far as symbolism, you know, it's really just the 9 knives. So that was Wanderer's Tarot for the minimalist tag. For my maximalist deck, I think probably my most maximalist deck is I think it's called Farhaxa. That's how I've heard other people pronounce it, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's right. So, yeah, I'm not promising you the way I just said it was right. So this deck, maybe not that card so much, but they've really it's got a lot going on. This is an indie deck by MJ, I think it's Cullinane. And really so much of this is, she's got a dove, it's breaking through clouds, there's little sun rays, there's a rainbow, there's what is she? Looks like she's up in the clouds over rain. I mean, it's just each little thing you can draw so much symbolism from. So I kind of tend to avoid decks that I feel like are too maximalist. So I suspect other people have some decks that are full of a lot more stuff than mine is. But for me, that's as maximalist as it gets. All right, for the next one is daytime versus nighttime. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what a daytime deck would be. Probably I was thinking the Radiant Tarot. Oh my gosh, I should have got this out first. It's literally got the sun on the backs. It's just very bright. cheerful, happy little deck. Oh my god, it's all cups right here. The bright colors, it feels very springy. So for me, this is a daytime deck. You know, I wouldn't pull this out to do any sort of moon readings or anything like that. Not necessarily that it's like shallow or something. I like that card. Just it's a daytime deck to me. For my nighttime deck, I have the Mystical Dream Tarot. It's in literally the shittiest bag I've ever made for a deck in my life. It came in one of those big boxes where the deck is like split in half, like just half the cards like next to each other, you know. So it had to have a bag immediately. I need to make it a new one, but that shit aside, I picked this for my nighttime deck, even though it kind of looks like it has the sun on the back. This is my nighttime deck. Every night before I go to sleep, it stays on my little side table shelf thing, and I draw one. The way that I work it is I don't always write down what I got. I leave it on the top of the deck, and then if I had some weird ass dreams that I feel like need a little more context, then I can pull out the deck if I don't remember what card I drew, and it's easy for me to just be like, oh yeah, it's probably, you know, about this. I include it then. I keep a dream journal, so I will always include what card I drew from this. So it's not necessarily dark looking like all the cards or nighttime necessarily. But for me, this is literally my nighttime deck. This guy back in its awful little bag. I'm sitting on my floor because I have like 14 decks around me, so I'm sorry if it's like wild. Okay, next up we've got best shuffle versus worst shuffle. So here I have the Antique Anatomy Tarot. This is my best shuffler. This is the mass market version of it, and it's the old mass market version of it that a bunch of people bitched about the cardstock. They were whining because they said it was thin, but you know, I love it. This shuffles so beautifully. It's not like slippery when you put it down. It doesn't stick when you're trying to bridge it. I think that they had changed. I think they've changed the cardstock on it. I'm pretty sure. But for me personally, this was like the ultimate cardstock. I mean, people are like, "Oh, it's gonna get destroyed," or "I ripped it." Like, what? I don't know what you're doing with your cards if you're ripping them. I don't. It's not. I mean, the edges aren't coming apart or anything. So there was a lot of complaints. Personally, I love this. So, this is my best shuffler. The worst shuffler makes me sad. Because my love for this deck, my inability to shuffle this is the only thing in the way of how much I love this deck. This is the Brady Tarot. This is the 2nd edition. These cards are thick. I don't know if you can even see that. It's not focusing. I mean, you can bend one of them, but to actually do like half a thing, well, first of all, I have very small hands, so maybe some people don't have a problem with this. To me, I literally cannot shuffle this. But even thickness aside, I guess I can kind of drop it. There's no way I'm going to be able to bridge this thing. It's like a sticky rose petal finish. Oh shit, did I just do it? Nope. And so the cards don't want to slide over each other. Even like hand over hand shuffling, they stay in like little chunks. So yeah, this is my worst shuffler, unfortunately. I like the way the rose petal finish looks on the cards. The issue that I have with it is that they don't slide over each other to make shuffling pleasant in any way. Kind of trying to keep these under control as I go. Sorry. Alright. The next tag is Confronting versus Comforting. Here's Confronting. This is the Tarot Restless. This is an indie deck by Winslow Dumaine. I have the first edition. I do want to add a trigger warning or a content warning. Some of the cards in this deck are pretty graphic, so skip forward if you don't want to see some shit, right? So this deck, it's designed to be confronting. It's called the Tarot Restless. It's honestly kind of more like, holy shit, look at this card. An oracle deck. I mean, really, the cards don't align in any way with the meanings of like a traditional any of the tarot decks. Oh my gosh, I forgot what it's called. Restless Meditations maybe is what the little guidebook with it is. And each of them are really like short stories. And they're pretty much all horror stories. And you know, depending on how I'm feeling, what's going on in my life, when I'm reading those, I identify with sort of different characters in it. And this deck will fuck you up for days. Like, I think this deck has probably been the most transformative, honestly, for me. It's really made me see some things about myself. Like, it was not pleasant at all. But yeah, definitely the Tarot Restless is my most confronting deck. Again, I flipped through some of these cards, but I actually don't know if I don't know what all has changed. I think there's been at least a third edition maybe is out right now. I don't know. This is the first. Yeah, I don't know what's changed. All right. This is the most comforting deck. I feel bad showing this one because it's like out of print. But all right, let me get this out. This is the Mesquite Tarot. It's indie. It's out of print. No one gets to have it. I'm sorry. It's small. I considered using this one for the Minimalist deck, but it's just something about the color. The colors are soft, but they're muted. They're not like some bright ass pastels. And the guidebook is just, it's very kind. Even like a sad card like this, I don't know. It puts me in kind of a certain headspace that other decks don't really do for me. Like, see, there's just a couple of the harder cards here. So, I apologize, for showing you an out-of-print deck, but, it asked, and this was the first one that came to my mind, so. Jesus Christ. Alright, so for the next one is Everyday deck versus Every So Often deck. Here's an everyday deck. Oh my god. It's got like a fur on it. This is the Forest of Enchantment Tarot. This is just mass market. I colored the edges green with a Sharpie. It doesn't come like that. Like, look what it did. Anyway, this deck to me, I can read this about anything. I can read this for anyone. People, want a reading. Oh, can I come over and get a reading? Sure. This is usually the deck that I grab. This is such an easy reader for me, and I feel like the symbolism that's in this deck aligns with how I see things. I tend to read less with symbols as they're supposed to be read, and much more about, what it really means to me. And I feel where this deck is coming from. I was thinking of the Charmin bears on this, wiping their asses in the woods. So this is my everyday deck. A lot of times, if I, wake up and I'm like, I don't know what deck to use this day, this is usually the one that I just end up grabbing. So, it gets tons of use. For me, for other people. Sorry, there's just cat hair everywhere in my life. Alright, so this one is every so often. And this is the Mary L. Tarot. This is first edition. Just because I only use it every so often doesn't mean anyone can have it, so sorry. This deck is... Jesus, these glossy decks. You can, literally see my phone on its little tripod in it. This deck is so much to me. I know that there's people who use this, on a regular basis. I've tried, but each card I can't get the meanings to shrink down enough to feel like I could use it on a regular basis, or even for spreads. If I draw 3 of these cards, that is way more than I can handle. I don't know. So this deck, this deck is irreplaceable in my hoard. I tend to use this for larger, almost I don't want to say political, but kind of world happenings. And it's very, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. It's very much the future telly kind of thing. Rather than a lot of them I do inner work with. This one it feels like it only wants to read really big energies. So yeah, this is my every once in a while deck, or every so often, sorry. Here is Overrated versus Underrated. Don't get mad. Okay. But it's the Wild Unknown. This is an old... I don't know if it's necessarily first edition or something. I don't know. This was back when it was indie. Just because I'm bitching about this doesn't mean that... I bought the little one too, so take my complaining with, that in mind. I'm not going to say that this is not a good deck. We've all seen the Wild Unknown. We all know the Wild Unknown. This fucking card is everywhere and has been for years. I don't want to say that I don't think that it deserves the hype, but I just don't think it's that groundbreaking. There were decks 70s, 80s, 90s that have really done a lot, just for tarot decks and in general. I feel like this maybe brought it a little more mainstream. I'm not gonna argue with the fact that it's very influential, as far as tarot history. This deserves its place on that. I just feel like it's not so majestic as everyone seems to act like it is. I don't know if people act like it really is so much anymore. But I do feel like the hype around it was a bit much. For what it is, I don't feel like it needs all the hype that it gets, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Anyway, I just bought this like a month ago, the baby one, so. Alright. Here's an underrated deck. The Poe Tarot. By Trisha Lee Schufelt. Might have said that wrong. Where are the people that have this deck? Got a thick-ass guidebook. I feel like I see more people with, like, this, a different, Edgar Allan Poe kind of deck. This one, I just feel like deserves more hype than it gets. This one is, it's got the little, illustrations that I think just go really well with it, but there's also a quote, from Edgar Allan Poe's works. It is impossible to say how first the idea entered my brain, but once conceived, it haunted me day and night. It's the Knight of Quills or Swords. The quotes are so well done on this. I mean, just the knowledge required to make something like this of, Poe's library of writings, this just feels so well done to me. And I'm surprised that I don't see more people with this. So I really think this is an underrated deck. Wish more people had it. Yeah, I guess that's really all I have to say about that. It's got the gilding. I know some people, like, hate this. I can honestly say I've never gotten cut on, gilding like this. It's like, I don't know, kind of a dark red or something on this. I don't know. Underrated. That was the Poe Tarot. Now, the last prompt for this is light work versus shadow work. I literally Googled, what light work is. Like, I know people call themselves light workers. I'm not 100% sure, what they do. And okay, my tarot practice is much more, inwardly focused on, my own, I don't know, just self-exploration, sort of. So from what I gather, light work is sort of, putting healing out into the world. It's a much more, introverted process for me than, the extroverted sort of, outside of myself. So, this is the best I've got for light work. This is the Accurate AF Tarot. Pretty sure that stands for accurate as fuck, but I'm old, so what do I know? I don't know. I guess I just kind of went with the aesthetic on this one. Seems light worky, right? I don't know. Oh, a lot of people have shit to say about round decks. I like round decks. I know that you can use them, like, depending on which way the card is oriented, when you draw it. I don't. I just turn them because I don't read reversals either, but that's a whole other video. So yeah, I mean, I really like this tower card. It's like Rider-Waite-Smith. So yeah, this was my attempt at a lightwork deck. Sorry if that's not what anyone was looking for. And finally, this is the Shadowwork deck. Look at how the yarn has gotten. This is hands down my most used deck. If you've been following my Instagram for any length of time, you probably have seen this shit. This is the Raven's Prophecy Tarot. Look at the wear on this thing. This, I thought about doing this one for every day, but really it's not, because I don't use this for people besides myself. And generally, you know, when shadow work kind of stuff comes up, this is what I'm reaching for. The kind of depth that this deck has for me sort of stems from the artist and creator of this deck is also an author who wrote a 4-book series. I don't know the right word for it. Called The Raven Cycle. And while you don't have to have read any of the books, oh my god, there's like planes. I'm sorry. Well, you don't have to have read the books to be able to use this deck. It really just adds so many layers underneath it. Oh shit, sorry. Of, you know, the scenes, the things that these represent within the context of the story. So this has allowed me to really dig deep with shadow work. Okay, this one, I will admit, I purchased a second copy of one of the books because I got it in hardback when it first came out, and then when the paperback came out, it had a special card of one of the characters, a little girl with like deer feet, legs, and hooves. The back's different, and also I had to trim the bottom to match because it was actually a little bit bigger. The border orange doesn't really match either, but you know, fuck it. So yeah, this is my shadow work deck. I can't get readings out of any other deck the way that I get out of this one. So I guess that was it. I showed you 14 decks. I mean, I guess if we're counting the little pocket wild unknown in a tin, then there was 15. I don't know why I'm opening this. So this was my tarot to the extreme, and thanks for watching. Bye.